Tonight, our special transmission as Iran vows a stronger and swifter response to any Israeli military attack. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 191st day since Israel started bombing Palestinians indiscriminately. In the past 24 hours, Israeli strikes have killed 68 Palestinians. 94 have been injured. Al Jazeera media reports the Israeli army has been firing at displaced Palestinians attempting to return home in northern Gaza. Dozens have been killed and wounded, including women and children. Tanks blocked Rashid Road leading to northern Gaza, forcing Palestinians back to southern shelters. Euromed Human Rights Monitor condemns targeting of displaced people. Israeli forces have bombed the Nusayrat refugee camp, killing 5 civilians. Israeli warplanes have targeted the vicinity of the Gaza European Hospital in Khan Yunis, injuring 5 people. The death toll from Israel's war continues to mount. At the time of writing, 33,797 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces. A report by the United Nations estimates another 8,000 are buried under the rubble. 76,465 have been wounded. Israel's revised death toll from Hamas's attacks stands at 1,139. At least 9 Iranian ballistic missiles successfully evaded Israel's advanced air defense system. The news comes after Iran retaliated to Israel's attack on its embassy in Syria. Israel's attack on the Iranian consulate earlier this month resulted in 13 deaths, including 7 high-ranking Iranian officials. Iran fired 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 120 ballistic missiles this past Saturday into Israeli territory. They struck 2 air bases in the Negev desert. The missiles damaged a C-130 transport aircraft and infrastructure in the Nevatim air base. While the Negev base was also hit with missiles, no significant damage has been reported. Following the strikes, concerns have arisen over the effectiveness of Israel's Arrow 3 defense system. A war cabinet is deliberating response strategies. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres is urging Israel and Iran to practice restraint. U.S. media reports President Joe Biden is urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to engage in offensive operations against Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have seized a Portuguese flagged ship in the Strait of Hormuz. The ship is linked to Israeli businessman Eyal Ofer. The move follows threats to close the crucial waterway after an Israeli strike on Iran's consulate. The attack has prompted concerns as tensions in the region rise. Analysts suggest Iran aims to assert control without wider conflict, potentially impacting global oil and gas supplies. The U.S. military has intercepted and destroyed over 80 one-way attack drones, along with 6 ballistic missiles launched from Iran and Yemen toward Israel. U.S. Central Command calls Iran's attack a destabilizing action in the region. U.S. President Biden commends the military's swift action. He has reaffirmed unwavering support for Israel's defense. However, he has cautioned against U.S. involvement in potential retaliatory strikes by Israel. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has assured continued support for regional stability and defense against threats. Israel's interception of Iranian missiles and drones has cost more than $1.35 billion. Brigadier General Ram Aminach, former financial advisor to the Israeli Chief of Staff, says each Arrow missile used for interception cost $3.5 million. He says interception through Magic Wand missiles cost $1 million each. The Israeli army has confirmed intercepting most of the 350 missiles and drones launched from Iran. While Iran claims hits on military targets, Israel asserts most attacks were thwarted, with only 1 missile striking a military base. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian has vowed a stronger response to any Israeli military attack. Speaking during a phone conversation with his British counterpart, David Cameron, Amir-Abdollahian said Tehran does not seek escalation of tensions in the region. He said if Israel resorts to another military attack, the Iranian response will be swifter, stronger, and extensive. Amir-Abdollahian said the crises in West Asia are rooted in the destructive role of Israel. He also expressed surprise over Britain's continued support for Israel's killing of children and innocent people in Gaza. He called the British stance irresponsible. Amir-Abdollahian said Britain should be more concerned about bombs being dropped on Gaza than the Iranian response to Israel. He said Iran's response is within the framework of the principle of legitimate defense enshrined in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. Cameron, for his part, expressed concern over the escalation of tensions in the region following the Iranian retaliatory strikes. He said the UK is making efforts to have a ceasefire and prisoner swap in Gaza. He also said the UK has urged Israel not to respond to the Iranian military action as London does not want an expansion of war. Earlier today, an Iranian foreign ministry spokesman said Iran's attack on Israel was necessary and appropriate and aimed at military targets. He said the military response became necessary after a lack of action by the United Nations Security Council and also due to irresponsible behavior showed by the United States, Britain, and France. In related news, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has told his U.S. counterpart, Lloyd Austin, that Israel has no choice but to respond to the Iranian attack. The news was reported by an Israeli news portal without providing any further details. Israel's War Cabinet held a meeting earlier today to discuss Israel's response to Iran's drone and missile attack against Israel on Saturday. Israeli media reports several options were discussed during the meeting, with each of them being a painful retaliatory response against Iran, but without sparking a regional war. Australia, Poland, the UK, and the US are expressing dissatisfaction with the Israeli investigation into the drone strike on an aid convoy in Gaza. 7 aid workers, including Canadian Jacob Flickinger, were killed in the attack on April 1st. Israel calls the incident a grave mistake. However, the nations whose citizens have been killed are seeking full accountability. Prime Minister Trudeau and President Biden are demanding an independent investigation. Their condemnation has led to dismissals of Israeli officers responsible for the attack. Despite this, Australia, Poland, the US, and the UK find the response insufficient. Poland has initiated a murder investigation and is demanding Israel's full cooperation. The US has called for transparency via a UN Security Council statement. Canada's response remains unclear, prompting criticism from opposition figures for lack of action. Critics are insisting on an independent probe free from the influence of the Israeli military. A report by the UN shows in the past 6 months, Israeli strikes have killed 224 aid workers. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.